Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. What defines a great sales team? Surely it's the score on the board, the number of sales made, increasing monthly revenue. Wrong and wrong, says entrepreneur Roy Osing. That strategy takes no account of the long-term needs of the customer. It also risks honesty and integrity for the sake of a sale. And as Roy tells Chris Ashmore, below-par sales teams are essentially product floggers.
Pushing products, delivering inventory, forcing products at customers is a symbol, in my view, of a below-par sales team. Selling on price is the second one. If you have to sell on price, it means you have no value. If you have to talk about price, you have nothing else to talk about. And below par sales teams spend an awful lot of time talking about price. In many respects, it's not their fault because they're not given anything else. They don't have a strategy in place, to take them off the product and price focus. But nevertheless, what they do is they come at you with price and make you feel if you don't buy a low price, you're stupid. That's the kind of thing that happens, and it's not acceptable. The third thing, and this one drives me crazy, these kind of salespeople have been taught that they need to underpromise and overdeliver. Can you see how dishonest that is? Underpromise, because if you do that, and if you actually level set the expectation of the customer at a very low level, and you actually exceed it by a bit, you think you're going to get credit for that. You're right, and you'll define that as exceeding expectations. Well, the fact of the matter is, when you set expectations low, then exceed them, I think you're being dishonest. Below par sales teams do that. They shouldn't do that. Below par sales teams focus exclusively on following sales practices. They're short-term focused. The quota drives them. It's what have I done today? What have I sold today? Which is more kind of another dimension of this product focus. But they have myopia on. They're looking at what can I get from this customer in the next 24 hours or in this engagement. And the last thing, and this is missing in action with below par salespeople, after sales service doesn't exist. They want to make the sale and move on. After sales service is missing in action.
So then, what defines a great sales team and the people in it?
Well, first of all, great sales teams are longer-term thinkers, They think beyond the quota. I mean, they may get paid on the quota, but what they're trying to do is balance short-term interests that they might have with the longer-term interests of their customer base. They're relationship builders. They're not product floggers. They're in it for the long term. The sustainability is the relationship they build because they believe that that relationship will spawn a number of sales, over the life of that relationship with the client. They're problem solvers. I mean, they love to go in and solve a customer problem. So again, it's the antithesis of product flogging is the customer problem solver who won't do anything until they understand what the problem is and what the solution is, hopefully with a product that they have, but it might not be a product that they have. And you need to strategically lose a sale. And I guess the last thing is these people are memorable experience creators. Again, as part of the relationship piece, it's like they're in it to have a great relationship, create a warm experience, one that invokes trust from the client. Again, because when the client's leaning your way in terms of trust and a strong relationship, they want to buy. You don't have to sell. So there's another difference, right? Below par salespeople sell. Above par salespeople don't. The customer wants to buy. And he wants to buy because the behaviors are so different.
So how does a boss know whether a salesperson has put in the required or the effective effort?
I would listen to a sales rep's customers and I would ask them the questions. And in terms of the standout salespeople, these are the sorts of comments that I would get back from their customers. By the way, the first time I went out asking a sales rep's customers, they were absolutely catatonic. They were so afraid of, here's Roy, the president, out there talking to my customers. My God, what's going to happen to me? But they learned very, very quickly that, especially the good ones, They learned that this was a source of reward and recognition, etc. And to the ones that were subpar, this was a source of exit or training and development. So it was used as a personal development tool as well. But here's what the customers said about the standout salespeople. I refuse to buy from anyone else. I feel guilty talking to anyone else about what I need. I don't feel confident dealing with anyone else. I'm okay to wait until they're available. I think of them as a friend. And by the way, these are real quotes. I honestly believe they care about me and what my problems are. They're in it for the long term with me. And this one I loved. They never push products at me. That's their words. So when I use the phrase product pusher, this is the way customers perceive it. And so the standout ones, customers said, they don't push, man. They're not pushers. They're not pushers. And so those are the kind of quotes that you get from a customer of a standout salesperson.
Wonderful. And how many salespeople can claim their customers or clients make any of those statements?
Unfortunately, not enough. But again, I don't look at this as their fault, really, as a salesperson's fault. I view this as a response of ineffective leadership. Leadership needs to change things, all right? They need to redefine the role of sales. They need to redefine their expectations. They need to put themselves in the serving business, not the sales business. They need to change the focus from products to experiences. So when all of these things are done and sales reps are held accountable, changes will occur. But at the moment, salespeople are taught to flog, because that's what they're going to get comped on. So there's going to be casualties, customer relationships, etc. And that's just the way it is. We need all organizations to have relationship building cultures, and it starts with leaders.
It starts with leaders, but then I suppose the question is, how do you lead your team to be better at sales?
Yeah, the interesting thing is there's a huge gap between what's happening now and where we need to go from a leadership point of view. I mean, right now, the emphasis in sales from a leadership point of view is all about sales efficiency, how to make cold calls, how to spot a good lead, how to manage the sales funnel, how to uncover customer needs, how to overcome objectives. I'm not saying those are wrong, but they're concerning the efficiency of the sales rep, not the effectiveness of the sales rep, the efficiency according to how proficient are you at implementing sales practices, which are best practices, right? If you want a sales force to be best in class in terms of strategic value, you need to do something different. By the way, as long as you're being efficient, you're not doing anything to really stand out from the competition either. And so it occurs to me that what we need to do is we need to get sales leadership to make the change away from efficiency to what I would call transformation. Sales needs to be transformed from the way it is today, which is like efficiency related, to what it needs to be tomorrow, which is more strategic. Sales is a hell of a valuable asset to make a contribution to strategy, but it needs leadership to untap that, to get it out of what today is for sales, right? And so these are the sorts of things that I would expect a leader of the sales force to do in a transformation environment, okay, where we're going from efficiency to adding strategic value. First of all, let's define what the role of sales is with respect to the strategy of the organization. Sales doesn't exist to be more efficient at selling. They should exist to be more effective at delivering to the strategy of the organization. But we need to define what that is, okay? And I talk a lot about line of sight leadership, which is sales. What is your specific role to deliver to the strategy of the organization? Do you have a direct line of sight to that strategic goal or not? If you do, good. If you don't, we may need to make it clear. Because if it's not clear, you end up with dysfunction and all sorts of other stuff, and they go back to their own ways. So that's the very, very first place that needs to start. Secondly, leaders need to start talking about what I call unsales. They need to start talking about being in the serving business. Sales exist to serve. And the results and the rewards of really, really good serving are sales. And so the means to the end is serving, and that whole experience context, right? We don't need people. We don't need people to sell. We need people that enable the purchase process from customers. And the way to get at that is through experiences, relationships, integrity, everything today that there's a lot of salespeople that aren't.
That was entrepreneur Roy Osing. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow at BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.